Hey y'all, happy Lent, I guess. I don't know what the proper greeting is for Lent, but as you can see, I've got a little bit of ash still left on my forehead from today, from Ash Wednesday. And I wanted to do something a little bit different for this video in preparing for the Camino. I want to walk you guys through how I scheduled and how I planned this pilgrimage out more or less from start to finish. I'm gonna go into picture-in-picture mode here, and I'm gonna be looking down. I'm looking at my main camera, but down here is my screen, so if I'm not looking at you, I apologize. I'll be looking up and down a lot. I'll be nodding a lot. But anyways, I wanted to show y'all a couple of things real quick. Number one is the kind of my main go-to airline looking for good flights and pricing is kayak.com. I'm not paid by them. This is not a sponsor. I know there's a ton of others, as you'll see. Also, there's Expedia, Travelocity, all that stuff. But Kayak, by and large, I feel like gives sort of the best pricing, and they take you directly to whatever airline you're looking for. The other thing is I like the how you can tweak anything on your searching. So as you can see here, I fly out of DFW. You can pick wherever you want. And whenever I was trying to decide on how I was going to go to the Camino, it was really how was I going to get there? Was it going to be through Paris and then train there, or Madrid, train there, or head to, there is an airport at the Santiago airport right next to the Camino, at the end of the Camino de Santiago. I was thinking about flying in there and then training back. I ultimately ended up going to Madrid. You can choose whatever date. The other nice thing here, as you'll see, is you can do a price graph. It'll kind of give you that, whether you're in also the weekend and the month view. And the month view is nice because you can adjust your duration if you're being flexible, which I was at the time. I didn't know whether I was going to do this in May, June, July, and then I ended up going all the way back into March, as you'll see, and was able to find the best price. But you can just pick whatever time frame, and it'll give you all that, and you just press search. And I'll pop out all the different pricing, and then you could even kind of narrow all that down. So that's how I was able to find the best pricing. I'll show you right here as it's starting to come up. It'll show you what the best pricing is for that range, and then the least or the most expensive. And you can, like I said, you can dictate that as you see there. Now it's really coming in. And so I just started playing with it. I just started going into different months and seeing what I could get for the best deal. As you can see right now, it's around $1,200 for a round trip, and for a couple of stops, I was able to find mine for like $570, which was phenomenal, and the whole reason why I'm able to afford and be able to go. So I would say try to obviously fly on non-peak times. Summertime is usually peak time for European travel. So if you're able to fly in the fall or the springtime, it's going to be cheaper. And just keep your eyes peeled for any deals that are going on, because you can find some really great airfare deals if you just kind of stick with it. And you can even, the other nice thing here is they'll kind of give you sort of the advice for kayak, but if they don't know, they'll put, I don't know. But you could also set an alarm if you have a very specific window, or you're wanting to check the pricing, because as you know, pricing for airfare can fluctuate even from day to day or even hour to hour. So you can put an alert for each day in case if you feel like, oh, this will definitely drop. It may not. You just never know. Okay, so once I knew kind of how I wanted to do it based on the cost, I knew flying from DFW to Madrid was going to be the absolute cheapest, but I knew that's not where I needed to start. I needed to start much closer. In fact, let me pull up the map right here. This is the route I'll be taking for the Camino, and so I'll zoom out so you can see here. Basically, the way my itinerary is going to work is I'm going to fly into Madrid, which is down here, right there, and then I'm going to take a train, because the trains there, you can find some really cheap train fare. I got a ticket to go from Madrid to my starting place in Sarria for 25 bucks, or 25 euros, excuse me. Anytime I say dollars, or if I say bucks, I mean euros, so just keep that in mind. So just, yeah, 25 euros to go from Madrid all the way to Sarria, It's about a 6-hour train ride, so it's not a short ride, but definitely was a lot cheaper flying to Madrid, taking the train, and just offering that time up. So as you can see, I start here. Whoa, sorry about that. There we go. Right here in Sarria. I'll try and zoom in one, maybe two more. There we go. Right there. And that's where the train stopped. That's where I'll go in. I'll stay in a albergue, which is a hostel. And if you're trying to find places to stay, if you're going as a pilgrim, albergues are the cheapest way to go. They're hostels. Now they're not hotels, right? So they're bunk styles. They've got pretty much you share a room with, whether it's 4 to 5 people. It could be a lot more depending on where you're starting and which hostel you decide. But the most I spent, I believe, was 10 euros for a whole night. That's shower, bed, and for the night. And so as compared to spending 100 euro for a hotel. And some of these towns don't have any hotels whatsoever, so you're there for the albergues. So anyways, I'll be going there, and then I'll be visiting the churches, getting my credentials stamped. As you guys saw, kind of in a little bit of the packing, the little passport that you use for the Camino. And so I'll be starting there. I'll be flying out on Tuesday, March 12th. I'll land in Madrid the morning of the 13th, and then I'll be getting in that evening on Wednesday. So yeah, the 12th, 13th, getting in that Wednesday the 13th, and then start walking Thursday morning on the 14th. So to kind of give you what I like to do. So what I like to do is kind of know when I'm starting, know when I'm finishing, and then I kind of fill in the rest as I go along. But I definitely want to get the 2 bookends done. So I knew, obviously, I only had an X amount of days to get this done. So I knew I was really realistically only going to be able to start walking until Thursday. I knew my flight leaves on the 20th, so I needed to get done no later than the 19th. So I only had about 5 days. And so the best thing to do is you could even just search here. You can just do Camino, if I knew 5 days, 5 days. So right there, 5-day walk. And if you know you have longer, if you have a week, if you have 2 weeks, a month, several months, if you know where you're going to start, you can say Camino walk starting from this point. And there's so many different options, as you see here, that you can choose from. And there's so many places that you can stop along the way that you can customize this really well. If you're a big adventure seeker, you could always just start and just walk until you're tired, until you get to a town, look for the albergues, look for a place to stay, and just live off the land and as a pilgrim. I like to be a little bit more scheduled than that, although at one point I was going to be kind of open, but I changed my mind because of mass times, as you'll see. So as you'll see here, basically I'll start here in Sarria, and then I'll head over here to Portamain, which is right across the river here. And that's where my first stop will be. And then I'll sleep there that night. And then I come up to this town, which I can't remember off the top of my head, is Palas de Rey. And I apologize if I butcher that or any other of my Spanish, but stop there for the night. And then my longest trek will be, for the next stop, I'll be going from Palas de Rey to Azurua, which Azurua from there to there is about 15 miles. So that's going to be my longest, hardest trek of the time. And then from there, Azurua to, I was going to stop possibly in Arua, but their church there doesn't have Sunday Mass available because that day that I get in is going to be, I'm going to be walking on Sunday, so I needed to make sure to go to Mass. I didn't want to wait over here for Mass because they don't have Mass in the morning times. But over here at this town, just a little bit further in Pedrauzo, they do have a Sunday evening Mass for pilgrims, so I'll be going there for Sunday. And then, as you see, there's the airport for Santiago de Compostela. but I'll go around and then all the way down into the actual Santiago de Compostela and get there sometime on Monday. I'll spend all day, or pretty much all day Tuesday. I did get a hotel. I splurged a little bit there just to, celebrate for that. Just celebrate during Lent, anyways. And then either I'll take a taxi or a train or something, some shuttle, because the way I did my air was as a round trip from Madrid. So obviously I need to get back to Madrid for my flight that leaves on the 20th. So on the 19th, I will get myself back to this airport, and I will fly from here to Madrid. And again, the airfare to go from Santiago de Compostela back to the Madrid airport was, again, I think 25 euro. It was super, super cheap. So don't feel like you have to fly into Santiago de Compostela. You could always fly into some of the other major airports and either train it, fly it, bus it, find a cheaper alternative that I would recommend. That's kind of how I started doing this. I kind of started gauging how many miles I really wanted to walk. I looked at some homework, like I said, when I looked up different paths, different ways that people usually go. And I knew I didn't want to walk more than 15 miles in a given day, so I kind of broke it down to around 12 miles a day. So the next thing I want to show y'all is I'm kind of a schedule freak. I like to have things really detailed. So here's the schedule written out. Plus I printed this out so I have it. So I also have addresses and semi kind of know what town I'm looking for in case if I get lost. I also have my airline information, all that good stuff. So as you see, I'm flying, actually I got a layover in Chicago Tuesday afternoon, and then I fly that night from Chicago to Madrid. I get in early that morning. More than likely, I've got a lot of time on my hands, so I'm probably actually going to try and go into downtown Madrid, into the city square in the center, and just have some fun, film around there, just be a little bit of a sightseeing area. So if I got anything that's interesting, I'll definitely be filming it. And then, like I said, I've got a train ticket, and the train ticket, like I said, it's around 25 euro, heading into Sarria. There's my albergue, and then I go, like I said, I'm going to try to do morning mass. If I can't, then I will just walk and then do an evening mass each time. So there, like I said, I'm staying at La Casa de Manuel, which is just another hostel style there. Another albergue. I don't know where I'm going to be staying in Alpedreuzo. I'm so sorry, I'm butchering this. I don't know exactly where I'm going to be staying for that time. So that's where I'm going to be a little bit of interest. We'll see what happens. But then I'll be going to mass there. And then, like I said, I'll be arriving in Santiago, go to the Pilgrim's Mass, which unfortunately is not in the main cathedral because they're renovating it right now. So they have the Pilgrim's Mass at another location. I'll also be going over to the actual official Pilgrim's office where you get the credential, you get the certificate that you have completed the Camino. In fact, let me show you all that real quick. Okay, here it is. It took me a little bit. The way I found it was going to the cathedral, Compostela de Santiago, the Cathedral of the Santiago de Compostela. It was about the fifth one down. So like I said, there's a lot of links for various things, but it should look like this. And this will give you a lot of great information. It gives you phone numbers, addresses. This obviously gives you the information about the masses, about if you want to have a tour of the cathedral. This gives you all the information on the cathedral. But if you're a pilgrim, you see here, there's the pilgrim's office. This is where you have to go to turn in or to show proof that you've done the pilgrimage. It gives you the hours of operation, the time, gives you a wonderful map right there. The other cool thing that I saw, and then this shows you the different ways that we've talked about, and just gives you all the information. Just like I said, it's got so much great, useful information, so please check that out. With regards to masses and how do I know the masses, right here when you look and it says how to prepare your pilgrimage. Once you click on that and it decides to load, there we go. It'll take you over to sort of the pilgrimage office, if you will. And I love right here is they'll tell you how many pilgrims arrived on that specific day. So today, Ash Wednesday, 245 arrived in Santiago and completed the Camino. There, as you saw, the credencial, it talks about the Compostela, their certificate, and the Holy Year, which is not until I think 2021, if I'm not mistaken. I'll give you any important news down here. And then if you scroll back up, as I said, you have this preparation you can do, and it just gives you all this great information right there. Kind of see what it looks like. But here, this I thought it was really awesome, was they have mass on the way. So they have gotten a Google map of the major paths that people take, as I've talked about on this channel. And you can just zoom in, kind of scroll, find where you are. So for me, I'm going to be starting in Sarria. So this is how I found out which masses I was going to try and go to, and kind of pinpoint where I was going to be staying along the way. Because as you can see, some of these only have one church. And then, oh, there we go. And then right here, it gives you a description. Yes, it's in Spanish. Just you can Google Translate it, or if you have a good friend that is fluent in Spanish, they can read all this for you and tell you. I can just tell you kind of now, Vespers is probably like Liturgy of the Hours, excuse me. Festivos, which is like festivals or holy days, is that time. And then they have the Laborables, I believe you pronounce that. This is just hours of mass. This is like weekdays. So weekdays is 7:30 p.m. So that's kind of, how you figure this out. So you can just kind of click on any one of these and tells you some of the information and all that good stuff. And like I said, they've got a whole bunch more stuff in here for you. So again, I'll leave this link down below in the description if you ever want to check it out, because it's got, like I said, a lot of great information that's really helped me prepare for this pilgrimage. So yeah, that's really about it. A couple other odds and ends stuff in case if you're just curious. I went ahead and thought about, as far as money, I figured around 50 euro a day, which really you don't need that much, especially if you already have things paid out in advance like I do. This is just kind of really for backup, and if you have a credit card or debit card, you can certainly bring those, but it's always good to have some cash on you. So I'm bringing a couple hundred euros just to be safe, but it shouldn't be a problem. As far as transportation, we've already talked about that. The majority is walking, so that's always nice. Just make sure to have a good pair of shoes. But as far as flights, we've already talked about that. Trains, you certainly can take a car wherever you want, or if you want to rent a car, you can, but that's really difficult, especially if you're trying to do the Camino. So I wouldn't really advise it. I'm sure it's really expensive if you try to get a taxi or an Uber or something like that. So wouldn't really recommend that. Like I said, trains, planes, and automobiles are really, trains, planes are your two best options and cheapest options. Also note that there's plenty of water fountains along the way. So just, if you have a water bottle, grocery stores and restaurants throughout the time. I am bringing some perishable or non-perishable food, to keep on hand just in case if I get hungry along the way, which I'll show in my last video before I leave. I'll do a what's in my bag Camino edition, so I'll show you everything what I packed for the Camino as my last video, so stay tuned for that. That's all I can really think of right now that I can share with y'all, and how I plan this. I won't bore you with all the details, because like I said, there's just so much information out there, which is awesome. It's great. You can learn a lot, but don't get too overwhelmed. Like, once you kind of have an idea and have a direction, just go with it and trust your gut on it, because there's gonna be some people who say, no, you don't need to do that, or no, you absolutely have to do this, or you should go this way or that way. This is your pilgrimage, all right? This is yours and yours alone. This is the one that God wants you to do. So take some advice with a grain of salt, really listen, prayerfully discern, and then once you know, trust in the Lord that He's going to provide and He'll take care of the rest. That's what I'm doing. You can only plan so much, but at the end of the day, it's in God's hands, and that's what I'm going with. If you have any questions, if I left something out you're just dying to know, leave me a question down below in the comment section. I'll get back with you. Thank you all so much for watching, and I'll talk to you in the next one. God bless.